Okay, what a weird past 10 minutes. My Spotify just went like bonkers. I mean bonkers, and it would play a song, and then it would play the first 10 seconds, and then repeat the first 10 seconds, and then I was like, you know what? Can't do it. So I go to YouTube, find the theme song, play the theme song. Then Spotify's like, hey, I'm still here. We'll play music again. And no, so I had to Alt F4 Spotify real quick. So weird thing. Also, this camera not working out. It's about time for a new one. So some technical difficulties to start things off. But what's up, guys? Happy Wednesday, July 28th, 2021. Hopefully you guys had a pretty solid night last night, where every team in the league was scheduled to play. The Blue Jays and the Red Sox ended up not playing. However, it was still a pretty eventful and fun, profitable slate for myself and people around me. And it was one of those nights where a negative score from a pitcher ended up winning a bunch of tournaments. I looked up in my single entry and noticed that guy in first place had Taylor Widener, the D-backs pitcher, and then somebody told me he won the 100K as well. So amazing job to that guy. That's the dream, man. Take down a tournament with negatives from a pitcher. I'm trying to think back, big scores last night. Austin Riley, the Braves, pretty impactful stack. They were tops on the bomb detector. Of course, Ozzy Albies at the tippy top. And as a team, they were able to get there collectively 12 total runs. Harrison Bader had a big score, 3 hits, 2 doubles, and a stolen base. Waino, one of the highest scoring players on the slate, was the highest scoring pitcher on the slate, was somebody I did have exposure to, so that was cool. It was just a really good night. A pretty solid, profitable night, so I'm happy about that. Hopefully you guys made out well. And if you didn't, there's always tomorrow. And tomorrow is today. And that's what we are here for, is to chop up tonight's MLB slate with its Fanduel, DraftKings, and PrizePicks implications. Happy baseball trade weekend. We might see some more trades, maybe even while we're on the air. So keep an eye on that. If you guys see some news dropping, be sure to spam the chat. Let me know. What up, Josh? Lost my winner take all by 0.5. No. That's tough. What up, dang lazy mofo? What up, Danny Miamore? Man, dude, winner take alls. Those are cool and fun to play. Oof, but finishing second in those things stings so bad. And finishing second by a fraction of a point has to be that much more painful and salty. But yeah, you were close. The process, and you start thinking about, like, yeah, if I put that in anything else, I catch pretty decently. But them's the breaks, man. I'm excited for baseball. I'm excited for football. One of the things I'm excited about for football is PrizePicks weekly stuff, right? Maybe I can start covering some actual PrizePicks plays on Tuesday for the games on Thursday and Sunday. If you guys haven't jumped on the PrizePicks train yet, man, I definitely invite you guys to do so using code GUNDACKER. If you use code GUNDACKER when you sign up, they're going to match your initial deposit up to $100. So sign up, throw a 20 bomb on there. It'll turn into $40. You can play it and create yourself some cards, some parlays, stuff like that. And they have picks and projections and stuff for everything. Like, I've never seen such a diverse DFS / betting board. I of course stick with the MLB, the NFL, the NBA, stuff like that. But if you guys know your CS:GO, your soccer, your golf, your Olympics, they got a little something for everybody. We'll try and navigate a couple plays I'm on today for baseball. Yesterday, my 2 favorite plays, kind of funny story. I liked Alcantara over his strikeout prop. He got it. And then I liked Trey Turner over 9 fantasy points. And Trey Turner, by the way, one of my highest owned DFS players, exposure-wise. In his first at-bat, he got a hit and a run. I think he had like 5 fantasy points. So I was like, yeah, he's cruising on his way to the over 9. And he got yanked middle of the first inning because he popped positive for corona, which I like it. It kind of it makes me hurt when I use my brain to think about the logistics on how a guy can be out there amongst players, test positive, and then we just yank him. We don't stop the game, nothing like that. But it is what it is. We've seen that a couple times in the NBA. I think we've seen a couple halftime guys like Jonas Valanciunas yanked at half because of a positive test. So contact tracing is a weird thing, but it looks like everyone's fine because the Nats play the Phillies again today, and the Nats look like they have the usual lineup. Only guy missing is Trey Turner. Nats, of course, some sellers in the deadline. It looks like Trey Turner and everyone but Juan Soto are eligible to be dealt. So kind of keep that in mind as we go through the slate. Phillies did drop a confirmed lineup, so we will verify that as right before we do the analysis. Gene Segura, JT Realmuto, Bryce Harper, Andrew McCutchen, Rhys Hoskins in the 5 spot. Alec Boehm, not Didi Gregorius, in the 6 spot. Ronald Torreyes in the 7 hole, and then Lucas Williams batting 8. So no Didi Gregorius. Is he just Luke? Is that the thing? Luke Williams? Yeah, batting 8. So Phillies against lefties, pretty solid OPS. Not like insanely great, but 747. I'll take that as a team collectively. Andrew McCutchen, one of the best that kind of stick out to me. He is batting cleanup here, so if he gets a ribeye spot behind some guys like Harper, Realmuto, some good OBP guys, and then a little bit of protection behind him with Rhys Hoskins. We got Patrick Corbin versus Zach Wheeler. Corbin, of course, has been really, really inconsistent this season, and his numbers against righties are just pop. A 1.91 home run per night to right-handed hitting, a 292 average allowed, and just a 16% K rate. Numbers to lefties are looking solid, but you can't play in the big leagues, especially as a starter, with these type of extreme splits. So we're going to focus on those troubles against righties, and the fact that Bryce Harper is the only lefty in this lineup. He's a professional hitter. This is a fun spot to kind of seek out the Phillies as a potential stack today. They have an implied run total of 4.9. I'll certainly be there on them. I'm not sure what kind of stack exposure I'm going to allocate on them just yet, but there's literally no one off limits here, and there's a lot of high batting average, a lot of 270s and above, and a lot of high ISOs, a lot of 200s and aboves. 1 through 5 have 200 plus ISO against lefties last 2 years, and a lot of high OPS. So Patrick Corbin could be in for a quick hook, and then that bullpen below average, so that's bullpen that is. So it could be a solid spot for the Phillies. And then the national side, their offense definitely takes a step backwards without Trey Turner. Good power guy, good OBP guy, good guy to steal bases, manufacturing runs. And Zach Wheeler has been on a whole nother level this season. He's the second most expensive pitcher on the slate. I think in the realm of fantasy value, I like 25 plus from 10K pitchers, and that is certainly a range of outcomes for him. 28 DKP against the Atlanta Braves in his last outing, then Miami and Chicago. Not as stellar, but 3 starts against the Nats this year, 15 DKP as well. But there's several games in his last 10 that you've seen he has the upside. So we are playing ranges of outcomes, or we are making a math problem out of this. And I do think there is a world where Zach Wheeler can get us 25 plus. So maybe he's not my cash game must-have guy at the moment, but I do think he's going to be one of my upper echelon guys that I'm going to seek out. Gerardo Parra and above in this projected lineup all have a 20% or less K rate. Lineup should come out pretty well even, but there might be a row of lefties in this 3-4-5. If I'm the skip, I'm kind of balancing that lane out a little bit more, but Zach Wheeler has just been elite to both sides at 30% K rate. So Zach Wheeler definitely going to be a pitcher I target. And I think on FanDuel, we don't assume wins, but I think on FanDuel, there's a good good implication that the Phillies get the dub here. They're minus 215 favorites. So if you are a fan of the quality start and win bonus on Fanduel, for some pitchers, especially the high price pitchers, you should be. I think Zach Wheeler's kind of checking all the boxes here. So give me a little bit of Wheeler. And there's really not a hole in Wheeler's game that I want to necessarily isolate and pick on, right? If you play 6K Juan Soto, go for it. But it's not like he specifically struggles against lefties, Zach Wheeler. That is 45% ground ball rate and a 21% hard contact rate. So it is what it is. You're kind of just betting on talent at that point. So give me some Wheeler. Give me the Philly stacks. And I'm kind of out on the Nats for now. What up, Tall? How you doing? You guys make it out all right last night? Hopefully you did well. Next game on the docket, the Marlins at the Orioles. Jordan Holloway taking on Jorge Lopez. We do not have confirmed lineups for this one yet, but we got Jordan Holloway and Jorge Lopez as our starters here. Holloway at 5.1 Sierra on the season, but he has a 3.47 expected ERA and a 3.21 total ERA, 19.5% call strike rate, and he's not allowing a lot of barrels so far. Again, 33 innings, not the world here, but interesting numbers to boot. 24.6% K rate to lefties, 20.5% to righties. I'm going to assume that I'm not that enamored with Holloway when all is said and done. It is the Orioles. Sometimes you get away with some weird pitchers against the Orioles, but Jordan Holloway doesn't really give me the warm and fuzzy. So at 6,200, I'd probably be looking for 15 to 18 DKP as my range of outcomes. We did see 20 plus in 2 of his last 3, but there's a lot of risk in that floor. And the pitch count, I guess 84 in his last outing, 72. So it looks like he could be stretched out for 80 to 90. So I guess if you thought 80 pitches, 90 pitches against the Baltimore Orioles could net 5-6 innings, maybe you squeak a dub. Right now he's a dog. Maybe you squeak a dub though at 6,200. Sure. I think right now he's a outside looking in guy for me. And if he does crack the pitcher pool later on, just because it's a righty against the Orioles, it would be a less than 10%er just to diversify my pitching portfolio a little bit. Jorge Lopez pitching for the Orioles, 5.26 expected ERA, 1.62 WHIP, 5.84 ERA. It's kind of one of those spots where I really, really want to tag up Lopez with some of these horrendous advanced metrics, the xFIP being so high, strikeout rate being so low, the average being so high. But it's hard to lean on the Marlins with any type of confidence. And the Marlins did deal Starling Marte as expected, unexpectedly to the Oakland Athletics, I believe. So that's probably their best player being plucked from the lineup. So this becomes a travel ball major league team, and anything can happen here. So I usually lean on the side of bad hitting to beat bad pitching. So I don't see myself pitching Jorge Lopez, but I will concede that 5,300 leaves a world of imagination out there against a lineup like this Marlins team that does come with a lot of inexperience, and several guys in this projected lineup, Luis Brinson, Jorge Alfaro, Adam Duvall, and Isan Diaz, all about 30% K rate. So there's a world where things could happen, and Lopez at 5,300 can get you 3 to 4x value, but it's for me going to be a low percentile outlier type of situation. So I'm kind of meditating on what to do with the pitchers here. If we flipped it here, this is a really plus hitting environment, right? Camden Yards. It's 80, mid to high 80 degrees. It's going to be hitter friendly environment wise. So if we isolate the weaknesses of either pitcher, and we don't have enough sample size, at least this year, to really lean on Jordan Holloway, like we don't look at his home run per nine allowed to like lefties, it's 0.6. But if we look at the fly ball rate, the line drive rate, the ground ball rate's really, really low at 32.5%. Hard contact rate's definitely below league average, but there's in his DNA so far a fly ball rate and a line drive rate that kind of suggests to me that if he's not in Miami, maybe there's a world where he is going to be a guy that allows some power, and the 4.26 xFIP also kind of agrees with that. So if I wanted to pick on that specifically, maybe I'm looking at Cedric Mullins or DJ Stewart. I do think Trey Mancini's just good no matter what, and Holloway has had a walk problem so far to righties, so maybe those are a couple of names that poke out. But Jorge Lopez, a little longer sample size on what his struggles are, and it's power to lefties. 164 home run per nine this season to lefties, 2.3 plus in the last 2 seasons, the last 3 seasons. So there's a world where I can maybe look at picking on him with a power lefty. But the Marlins don't have that. They have Isan Diaz, who I think might have homered yesterday. Joe Panic, never really a power guy, and Magnus Sierra. So there's not much to be happy about. And then his ground ball rate to righties at 58.2%, right? Like, there's a world where he just completely puts this stack to sleep. So I could see a lot of outcomes happening here. I could see the Orioles do well. I could see the Marlins do well. But I could also see Holloway and Lopez pay off their price tags respectively. So I really might meditate on putting them in the back end of my pitching pool later on. Of course, it would be extremely tapered and well governed. But I could paint that picture because of some of the circumstances, right? Let's move on to the next game here. And I hate to be such a fence walker and stuff like that, but I think you guys see why. I mean, it's like 2 below average teams versus 2 below average pitchers, and then one of the below average team lost their above average player. You know what I'm saying? Like, it gets to be a lot. Adrian Hauser pitching for the Brewers. I got Max Kranick for the Pirates. Did anybody get a different name? Because I don't know for sure. That's what DraftKings has as well. But I didn't have. It wasn't for sure. So the Pirates recalled Kranick from AAA Indianapolis. Pittsburgh hasn't announced a starting pitcher for Wednesday's game against the Brewers, but the nod will presumably go to Kranick. So Kranick does have a couple games in the big leagues, 3 innings, 5 innings, 1 homer, and then strikeouts per inning, 3.53. So he has been a strikeout per inning guy. I'm not going to overreact to the big league sample size that we have so far for Kranick. So I'm going to pull up his minor league card from MLB.com and see if we can't get a little bit more information to maybe suggest or support the big league information that we have as we take some coffee. I got some chocolate creamer. It's really good. In the minors, I got 15 innings of sample size. So it's really not sample for anything, but I will say there's about a strikeout per inning to righties, just under 1, and then 8 and 6.1. So maybe he's decently. He has decent strikeout potential. I probably don't dabble here. I'm not sure what to expect pitch count wise either. Let me go look at that game log to see if he went 5-6 innings 5 days ago or something like that. June 27th. That can't be. Yeah, July 21st. 3 innings, 4 innings. So looks like between the big leagues and his last couple minor league outings, there's never 5-6 innings. So because of that, to go Shark Tank here, I'm out. I don't think I play Max Kranick. And I don't necessarily know what to do to pick on them. The Brewers were kind of a sneaky stack yesterday. They popped off, even with Yelich going down, Jace Peterson going down with the COVID stuff. Kranick could be a guy that gives up some power here. But this lineup's weird. It's really weird. Matter of fact, the lineup just came out. If we want to confirm it, Colton Wong is leading off. Willie Adames is batting second. Omar Narvaez, I think he went yard yesterday. He's batting third. Avi Garcia is batting cleanup. 5 spot is former Blue Jay great Rowdy Tellez. And hey, I'm Tyrone Taylor batting 6th. 7th is Locane. And then Luis Urias. So, oof. Boy, I tell you what, you put this lineup, you put the Marlins lineup in a blender, I could probably go find a AAA team that could take these guys 12 rounds. That's a tough lineup. Adrian Hauser on the bump for the Brewers. Not really a guy I ever play. A really, really low K rate to the lefties. 15.9% this season. Under 15% last season. High average allowed. But he is a ground ball guy, so he could just eat some innings. I don't really see a ton of upside in him at this price. If I want to sniff out a power guy, maybe a Gregory Polanco or somebody like that, Can get into that. I just think this game ultimately, at the end of the day, for me, probably just doesn't exist, right? I can live without this game, and I probably don't lose sleep because I don't have Hauser, Kranick, or a Pirates Brewer stack. And if I get to cherry picking, that's cool, but I don't think I'm stacking this game. So we're going to move on to the next game. The Yankees at the Rays. The Rays lineup was released and confirmed, but it's Nestor Cortes Jr. up against Michael Wacha. Nestor Cortes has been one of the better bullpen arms for the Yankees, so we're going to treat this game more like a bullpen game, I believe, and I think Garrett Cole's due up tomorrow, so I think they're willing to let it all out there with their bullpen today and let Garrett Cole maybe, or hope that Garrett Cole goes deep tomorrow. The confirmed Rays lineup is Manuel Margot batting leadoff, Wander Franco, Nelson Cruz, Yandy Diaz batting cleanup. 5 spots going to be Austin Meadows. Randy Arozarena is batting 6. 7 holes going to be Brandon Lau. Francisco Mejia, I think he used to play for the Padres, batting 8th, and then Joey Wendell is batting 9th. That is your confirmed Rays lineup. Do not have a confirmed Yankees lineup, but let's play some who might come out for the Yankees bullpen game today. I think Nestor Cortes, they might lean on him to go 3 innings if he can stretch. Yesterday they used the front end guys, Zach Britton, or the back end guys, a little bit of both actually. They used a lot of Britton, Chapman, and Green yesterday, and those are the big boys. I think it's fine to go to them 2 days in a row, but I think you'll definitely see Jonathan Loaizica come out again today, and probably Lucas Licky, and then they picked up Sal Romano. You might remember him from the Cincinnati Reds. He pitched a bit in that, I'm going to say that Red Sox series. So it's probably going to get... It's going to be a situation where they get the most they can out of Nestor Cortes, maybe go through the lineup once and maybe 1.5, and see what happens, see where you're at from there. And then if you can bridge over to Chapman, you might go to Chapman 2 days in a row. The only thing that's weird about the Yankees is they don't like to go to guys 3 days in a row, so I'm wondering what they have in store for tomorrow if Garrett Cole has to hand the ball over. So Britton had a really tough time last night in the 8th inning, 25 pitches. Maybe you don't see him today. Maybe you still see Chapman. Chad Green can go 2 days in a row, even if he did throw 30 yesterday. And then they traded for Clay Holmes. I don't know if he's... I guess he would be active, but he was yesterday. Yesterday they also traded away Luis Sessa and Justin Wilson. So I don't know if there was corresponding moves to bring up arms yet. I haven't seen that, but either way, I'm projecting a full-on bullpen game here for the Yankees, and I don't know how often Nestor Cortes gets me 5 innings to qualify for any type of bonuses. So with that said, Cortes has been really rock solid. A 29% K rate to lefties and a 32% K rate to righties. We have to be really cautious with looking at K rates like that from bullpen guys, because oftentimes they're brought into the game to see the best lanes possible, the best matchups possible. So maybe 30% isn't as sustainable, especially when you look at his pedigree the last couple of years being a 20% guy, right? Nonetheless, he has been pretty solid, so I will look at him, but usually a 31% K rate does not coexist with an under 10% swinging strike rate. Do we want to pick on him? I mean, if you're betting on the Rays here, you know the high grade guys, the Nelson Cruzes, Wander Francos, guys like that, sure. But matchup wise, it's kind of hard to specifically pinpoint the weakness of Nestor Cortes. But if it does get into the bullpen and Greeny's not sharp, he can get picked on. Sal Romano, I know he lasted a solid outing against the Red Sox, but we know Sal Romano, he's like an average pitcher. You know, if he got into the game for the Yankees in the middle innings, sure, he can be picked on. So I don't mind banking on some talent here for the Rays, but it's really just that. It's not going to be something that I can say, hey, this matchup dictates this pre-flop. We're just betting on talent. Michael Wacha, a 2.68 home run per 9, 2 righties, has allowed Aaron Judge to take sole possession of the top of the bomb detector with a 4.66 rating, projected to bat second. That is not confirmed, and watch out for that though, because the Yankees like to be real weird when guys come back from the IL, and we've seen a trend of them playing a guy one day, immediately rest the next day, and then come back. So hopefully they don't do that, because the sense of urgency and the need to win now should be at an all-time high for this team. But it is something that they've done in the past, so watch out for that. But obviously, if Judge does crack the lineup and he is batting second, great matchup here against Waka, and really a good matchup for these power righties if they can get right. Waka, I think, in this park, he has dropped that total home run per nine down to 165, but against righties, it's still a problem. High average allowed, high xFIP, and like we said, a lot of power allowed. So even past just Aaron Judge, maybe a guy like Gary Sanchez, Giancarlo Stanton will profile well and get into one themselves. Gary, I think since Judge is back, Gio is back, Higashioka's probably back, so Gary would probably be off his feet tomorrow for Higashioka finally. So yeah, if Gary's in the mix, he's been better than perceived so far this season, and there's a lot of high ISOs. Something to look at when it comes to Michael Wacha is the pitch report, because Wacha does have a different repertoire. He's fastball, cutter, changeup. All of the Yankees have mediocre to less than mediocre grades against the cutter and the changeup for that matter. It's really just, can Judge get to that fastball, and Stanton as well. And you got to know that Walker's going to be tiptoeing around that matchup. Do we get to any Wacha as a play? Yankees can offer some strikeouts. A lot of 30%ers in this lineup, in this projected lineup. I got 4 guys projected at almost 30% K rate. But Wacha just has a 23.5% K rate overall against righties, and then 15.6% to lefties. So it's not like I'm believing in him for a ton of strikeouts. I did lean on Shane McClanahan a little bit yesterday. Wasn't what I was hoping for, but at 7,900 on Wacha, like if you're looking for 18 to 20, I would say it's a range of outcomes. I do think he has at least 2 starts against the Yankees this season, and the fact that this game is in Tropicana likely is a plus versus Yankee Stadium. So 3 games against the Yankees, he's averaging 15, and then at home this season, just 10. So yeah, no warm and fuzzies, but he would probably crack the low end percentage of the pool if I got a little bit desperate and I really felt like I needed to diversify a little bit more. What up, Eric? You like some rates, should be very low owned. Yeah, like I said, I think Cortez is really, really good. But it's a bullpen game, and with bullpen games, you gotta bank on multiple guys having their A stuff, and that's just a hard thing to do when it comes to bullpens. You get 4 or 5 guys involved into a game, so I think it's just to bet on some of the better bats here, right? Nelson Cruz is somebody I would be interested in, and Wander Franco, I know his season-long stats aren't looking good so far in the big league sample, but he's still the number 1 prospect in baseball. Looked pretty solid yesterday. Austin Meadows, good power guy. Not necessarily going to take advantage of the starting matchup, but after Cortez, we're likely to see I'm just going to assume that it's going to be a mixture of Sal Romano and Lucas Licky. So an average righty and maybe a slightly plus lefty in Licky. So just kind of, take your pick there. Let's move on to the next game. Braves and the Mets. Braves have an implied run total of just 3.6. The Mets at 4. We do have a confirmed Braves lineup. Jock Peterson was scratched yesterday, but he's in today's today's confirmed lineup so far. Ozzie Albies in the 2 spot, Freddie Freeman, Austin Riley, Dansby Swanson, Abraham Almonte, a weird name in the bomb detector yesterday, who I'm pretty sure went yard. Jared Eichhoff is just an amazing gift to the game of baseball, I'll tell you what. So that's our confirmed lineup here. Freddie Freeman is in the loo. Tyler Megill taking the bump for the Mets versus Fried. So Megill's a guy that I actually liked quite a bit in his last start for some strikeout props. So maybe we take a second to look at what PrizePicks put his strikeout props today, because I thought there was some value. I think I got him at like 4.5, and today he's at 5.5. So they're going to charge me an extra strikeout. But at 5.5, could I get there? We do have the K Factory tab in the RunDFS.com MLB VIP spreadsheet. And he went 78 pitches against Toronto, so between 70 and 90. So if I give him I give him 80 pitches on the K Factory in this spot against the Braves, what is the number that the sheet is spitting out based on this lineup? 80 pitches for Mego gives me 5.5 on the dot. That's tough. So maybe I leave that bet alone. But he is in an intriguing spot, knowing that the Mets are a slight favorite. It's going to be more of a pitcher's park. Maybe the Braves bats kind of leave some out there after yesterday and their explosion on Eichhoff. And this is a lineup that 22% carried on Peterson. Riley's at 27, Swanson 26, Heredia, Kevin Smith, and Max Fried. There are some strikeouts to be had here, and Mego has been pretty solid. His xFIP to lefties kind of alarmingly not great, but the strikeout is still there, so maybe he can offset some of those, some of that bad juju with some strikeouts. So 9,200 feels rough. I don't know. If he was 8K, I might be pushing this narrative a little bit harder. I just think Mego's better than the public perceives, and if that's gonna continue, getting his ownership low, I might just play him to spite the field. So I'm kind of putting him on the burner here as a play here, because he's certainly just shutting down righties, just running them into the ground. And we're going to go Albies, Riley, Swanson, Heredia, Kevin Smith, and the pitcher. I think there's a world where he thrives, right? Can I get 6 innings strong? Maybe squeak out a win, maybe. Max Fried on the bump for the Braves, 4.1 xFIP to righties, 3.29 to lefties. He's been pretty solid to lefties, high strikeout rate to lefties. Don't have a confirmed Mets lineup, but they could come out half and half, lefties and righties. And if that's the case, right, there's a lot of strikeout potential for him. PrizePicks did list his K-prop at 6, so I think that's about appropriate. Last couple starts for Fried in terms of pitch count was 100, 96, 92, 91. So getting up to 100 pitches is pretty nice. You'd like to see more 6 innings than 5 innings, but you're seeing a wide range of outcomes there, right? 9, 30, 13. The Mets are a team I don't mind picking on. I like Charlie Morton yesterday against lefties, about a 1-4 K rate. Maybe I get to a little bit of Fried. And neither one of these offenses are kind of popping for me. I think I might, one off a couple of guys just to pick on some weaknesses, right? Mego so far does have a little bit of a power issue to lefties, a 2.45 home run per 9 to lefties, 53% fly ball rate. Mr. Jock Peterson might get that first pitch bomb, right? Jump on that fastball or something like that. He'll profile pretty well for that, but I don't know that I dedicate to a full stacking, especially since this lineup really falls off a cliff. So just give me one off and some Peterson, maybe some Albies, and definitely some Freeman. And then on the Mets side here against Fried, right, doesn't really have a power problem. Big ground ball guy. The hard contact to lefties maybe a little bit elevated. Do we bank on the reverse splits here? I guess Dominic Smith is kind of somebody that has been consistent against lefties from the left side of the left batter's box. But these are just whimsical clicks that hit the optimizer, and I don't think I get to dedicating to the full stack, right? Let's move on to the next game, Blue Jays at the Red Sox. So this is going to be a DraftKings only game, and this is going to be game 2 of the doubleheader. So it's only going to be 7 innings. You guys know how that goes. I don't really see myself getting to either pitcher. Tanner Huck, I did watch him against the Yankees, and he was mowing down the Yankees. So if you believe in his strikeout potential, maybe 7,200 from a guy that no one is going to play just because of the fact that he's in the doubleheader is something to take advantage of. But 8 strikeouts in 4.2 innings against the Yankees. The thing with both these guys here is I don't know. Sometimes I like to target pitchers in a doubleheader because of the 7 innings. Maybe you steal the complete game, but I never play Mats, and both offenses are really, really solid, right? For a 7-inning game, there's still an 8.5 run total here. But I do think Hawk is pretty good and pretty strong strikeout guy. So maybe I get to, I don't know. I probably don't, just because I don't believe in him to go 5-6 innings. The debate on what to do with the offenses in a 7 inning game is a fun one, just because a lot of people do kind of weight those extra 2 innings, those round of at bats pretty highly. But man, these are two high-powered offenses, high octane in Fenway Park. They could get there in 5 innings. They can get there in 3 innings in terms of just hitting a bomb. So I think the pitcher that's got the more prevalent and obvious weaknesses to pick on is Steven Matz, right? We know what his strengths and weaknesses are, and his weaknesses are the 270 average to righties, a 144 home run per 9 to righties. Cover boy JD Martinez kind of lines up pretty solid here. If Xander Bogaerts makes the lineup in this game as well, he could take advantage of that. And then Kiki Hernandez, perennial lefty masher. I mean, there's some fun names there. Hunter Renfroe as well. So I think the Red Sox stack, I think I know, like, if I'll have some Blue Jays just to have them, but I think at least I know what I'm targeting specifically against Steven Matz when I sign up for the Red Sox. And I probably will get to some Red Sox exposure. I just think it makes too much sense to go out there and attack on these specific weaknesses, which could be the strengths of the Red Sox. And guys like Hunter Renfroe usually strike out a little bit more than you want them to. He has a ton of power against lefties, a 289 ISO, and almost a 900 OPS. So give me some of that. Hopefully this is more like the real lineup. Xander Bogaerts has missed a couple games in the last week. A day of rest yesterday. It is a doubleheader, so maybe he plays one, skips the other. But there's a lot of very viable names in this projected lineup. And even at the bottom end, the Bobby Dalbecs and Michael Chavises, I could see that. But those would be the ones I'd be a little less infatuated with, especially, the home team doubleheader. They could really only have 6 innings of at bat, so the bottom end guys could be really, really tough to get behind. Verdugo's looks like he's getting a little streaky lately. So because of the talent, I'll get to some Blue Jay stacks, but I really, really do like taking a strong look at the Red Sox and just kind of taking some of that doubleheader risk, right? What up, Earth to Air? What up, Lorenza? You're stacking Philly and the White Sox. Tanner does have that wonky delivery like a right-handed Chris Sale. I think that's a really strong comp, and it's hard to hit, right? So I think that's a really sharp take. Let's move on to the next game. Reds at the Cubs. Joey Votto has never not homered ever. That man's on fire. Reds projected lineup: Jonathan India, Jesse Winker, Tyler Stevenson, batting third. There's some catcher viability. In the cleanup spot, known power hitter Joey Votto, Eugenio Suarez 5-hole, Kyle Farmer in the 6th spot. 7-hole is going to be Tyler Naquin and Aristides Aquino, all the way down to the 8th spot. Not hitting with the consistency that they would like, and it annoys me because he always projects well for power, but he's always in the bottom of the lineup, so I can't really get the implied at-bats that I would like. Zach Davies versus Tyler Miley is our pitching matchup. Both teams implied run totals over 5. The game total's over 10, and that's fair. Yesterday, a lot of runs to be had, a lot of homers to be had, right? Joey Votto, Chris Bryant got there in the 9th, whatever. Rizzo, Winker. It was a really fun game for power, and especially for the 2x power on Joey Votto. I believe Votto is now 4 games in a row with a bomb. So if you believe in streaks, this is certainly one of those streaks to follow, right? Yeah. 4 games in a row with a bomb. Yesterday he got 2. Zach Davies definitely could put some water on the fire because he is a ground ball pitcher that doesn't allow a lot of power to lefties. He's a 0.78 home run per 9. He does have a 1.24 home run per 9 at Wrigley. So maybe, Wrigley Field is kind of going to elevate that, maybe give Votto a chance to stay hot. But for the most part, I'm not really attacking Davies consistently for homers. The average allowed to lefties is just 230. To righties, 276. It does go up a little bit. Maybe Jonathan India, Tyler Stevenson can take advantage of that. But also, like we said, this game total is pretty high, but it could be more reactive than proactive. And then watch out for the Cubs to maybe make some moves here as we get closer to lock, because they definitely are. They definitely have their window open and the for sale sign up, because Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo could be traded any day now. That's why when Rizzo had his night last night, I was just wondering, man, is that his send off from the Cubs? A lot of speculation on where Rizzo might land. A lot of people believe that the Boston Red Sox could be suitors. So we'll see if that develops. The Reds did pick up Louis Sessa and Justin Wilson yesterday from the Yankees. I don't know if they'll be available immediately. If they are, Justin Wilson has been a big-time bust for the Yankees for what they expected out of him. But the last big-time bust the Reds got from the Yankees was Sonny Gray, and he got right real quick. So what that could mean is if Wilson does enter the game, maybe he continues to not be great, and maybe we get some Cubs versus an average lefty like a Chris Bryant, somebody like that. Watch out for Javi Baez. He was scratched yesterday with a heel injury. The day before, he hit that emotional walk-off on Amir Garrett. He could be back in the lineup, and if he is, of course, you'll be watching for a little bit of perhaps revenge. I don't think there should be, because I think Amir Garrett is one of the more animated pitchers out there, and he's always talking trash, so I seem a little bit more showmanship than not. But you never know with baseball. If Baez does crack that lineup, maybe he's a free hit by pitch to get your lineup started, right? Tyler Mahle, 26.2% K rate against righties, 33% against lefties. On the road, a 0.45 home run per nine. He's been pretty solid. I think there's a large price gap between Fanduel and DraftKings that makes him a little bit more intriguing to me on Fanduel versus DraftKings, right? The need to be the nuts on DraftKings at 10.2, a little bit higher than being 7K on Fanduel. 5.16, 5 innings his last couple starts, and really hasn't wowed me from a DKP standpoint. He's only exceeded 20 DKP 3 times in his last 10, and no times in his last 5 or 6. And including a game against the Chicago Cubs where he went 102 pitches, 17.9, right? So 17.9 on a normal day, maybe I take that, but I really don't want to get that from my 10K pitchers. So I'm kind of skittish at that 10.2K price point, because I do think the xFIP against righties 3.89. The power allowed versus a Cubs team that has hit with a little bit of pop lately. Like I do have tapered expectations, but 7.3 on FanDuel, I might be a buyer, because I do feel like there's some value at that price point. Kind of like where I was at on Jordan Montgomery yesterday, right? I didn't love the matchup necessarily, but at 6.7K, I feel like there's value on that price point, that there's a reasonable range of outcomes that at 7,300 on FanDuel, he could sneak into 5-6 innings, maybe gets the win, and maybe gets a strikeout per inning, because the numbers suggest he could be a strikeout per inning or greater. So I would get to Mahle on FanDuel. I don't know about liberally, but a lot more than I would on DraftKings. And then Zach Davis, probably going to be a no for me, right? You did your thing, dog. It's going to be a no for me. The strikeout stuff just isn't there for me to get excited. I could definitely see him be a stat killer, but not really there in terms of fantasy upside, right? Let's get caught up on chat. Votto was upset with something Wilson Contreras said. Interesting. I want to stack the Cubs. Look at that Bryant BVP. We got to be real careful with Mahle BVP, because he's certainly, I don't know, I guess he's not that different versus the last 2 years. I guess we'll look at it. I think Chris Bryant used to own Great American Ballpark, though, so maybe put some context to that. Like I said, I am really cautious when it comes to BVP, but because you brought it up, we'll go look at it. Tyler Mahle versus Chris Bryant. Bryant is batting .389, 18 at bats with 3 bombs and 2 doubles. That's what you want. Got a bomb there for Baez, 2 bombs for Rizzo. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't talk you off of it. Bryant kind of got bailed out yesterday in a game where they were like down a touchdown. So I'm not. I don't know. But if he didn't get moved, right? Not playing no Cubs. Trey Turner scared me last night, but it was positive COVID test last. Yeah, dude, that Trey Turner stuff got me. But you're saying you're scared somebody might get scratched mid game because of a move. It's very possible and more than likely going to happen. Not necessarily more than likely for the Cubs specifically, but likely it's just in general in baseball. We're going to see some guy middle of the game get yanked, and there was the underlying reason was because he got traded. Kind of scared though. Wasn't any link to the sticky stuff, Male? Maybe. I didn't have that, but I'll see if we can get a quick verdict. Also, just gotta remember, guys, it's that time of year, right? End of July, August, runs just go up, and we're kind of seeing that. But let's go look at that Molly game log and just see if the swing and strike rate. Like I know spin rates is the best indicator, but for the sake of a quick yes or no, let's see how drastic his swinging strike rate has changed. So 12.5%, 12, 17, 14, 12, 16, 17. So this right here is an alarming stretch to 9, 4, 9, 8. But other than that, looks like he's back to double digits on the swing and strike rate. Is he getting outside swing? 24. The outside swing has gone down quite a bit, under 30%, where he was over 30% for a long time. So maybe look at that as a potential issue, and then the first pitch strike is fine. So I don't know, maybe something to watch. What up, dope heathen? Just got here with the best pitchers and best stacks today. Matter of fact, tell me a lineup. Man, hit that rewind button. Put me on chipmunk speed and listen to me break down. I don't know. Nah, honestly, it's been pretty balanced so far. Like, I haven't been like, I gotta get this deck. I gotta play this pitcher. I'm being pretty modest and probably responsible with diversifying exposures to pitchers and stacks so far. I know that gets really boring. You just hear somebody walking lines and we're talking math, but that's honestly what baseball is. D-backs at the Rangers. Roof officially closed. D-backs projected lineup. Cole Calhoun is batting leadoff again. Josh Van Meter batting second. Eduardo Escobar, Christian Walker, Asdrubal Cabrera, David Peralta, Nick Ahmed batting seventh. Dalton Varsho batting eighth, and then Brian Holiday, the catcher, batting ninth. Where have I heard that name before? We've got Jordan Lyles on the bump, taking on Madison Bumgarner. Bumgarner 9.5K on DraftKings, coming to us with a 22% K rate to righties and a 27.7% K rate to lefties. However, he's parlaying that with a 503 xFIP and a 253 home run per nine. He's giving up power to lefties. He's also a walk-in lefties at a decent clip. He did miss a big chunk of time due to an injury. He only has a couple games back. So maybe we'll see how he's been lately. June 2nd, -6, went 2 innings. And then the 16th and the 21st, 6 innings against the Cubs, dropped a 20 bomb, 1 bomb allowed, 6 Ks, 1 walk. And then against the Pirates, 5 innings. Pirates are so bad. 7 hits, so over a hit per inning allowed against the Pirates. No bombs, just 1 strikeout, and a 6-7 ground ball to fly ball ratio. So it's probably safe to say that right now Madison Bumgarner is closer to a replacement level pitcher than anything, and that makes 9,500 on DraftKings really scratch your head. I guess the Rangers perceptually really bad against lefties, a lot of high K rates, right? Nate Lowe, Adolis Garcia, Joey Gallo, and David Dahl all have 30+% K rates. I guess that kind of creates a lane for Mad Bum to kind of thrive, but at best it's a gamble, and at worst it's a risk. I guess the question would be, are we stacking Rangers? If the answer is no, then sure, that elevates the likelihood, or at least our belief of the likelihood, that Madison Bumgarner has a solid game, and do we act on that? I think 6,400 on Fanduel's a fun price. 95 on DraftKings, the risk reward is definitely something to balance and consider. Mad Bum's been able to kind of hide behind that high hard contact rate in a stadium like Chase Field when the roof is closed. Maybe you can do the same in Globe Life. It's definitely going to play more pitcher friendly, especially with the roof closed, and the Rangers are the Rangers. So I'm curious to see where you guys are at on Madison Bumgarner. I think his lefty splits are at least intriguing enough that I could get behind him getting through some of the best players for the Rangers, right? If you look at that Rangers lineup, for me, I'm always just worried about Adolis Garcia and Joey Gallo. But if we can offset Gallo's 30%, they're almost 40% K rate to lefties with his 28% K rate, and then Adolis Garcia would be the remaining guy. The rest of this lineup doesn't really put a lot of fear in me. And then Joey Gallo, he's at risk of being traded any second now, and that lineup's not confirmed. So maybe we play that thought in our head. If Gallo did get moved before that game started, would that heighten or hurt our love for Mad Bum? Because it does feel like Gallo is a projected strikeout. So where are you guys at 9.5K Madison Bumgarner? I think my gut's telling me to kind of no, right? I just think that price is a little too high. I don't know what the ceiling is for this spot, but I guess at the end of the day, if he dropped 30 DKP, I don't think I'd be that stunned. So I hate to teeter that line here, but it's a weird spot. 6,400, I feel like the risk is a little less heightened, and I do think the price point can offer some cushion for a lackluster performance. But 9.5, we're starting to raise our expectations a little bit. Jordan Lyles, 6K on DraftKings, a 19.6% K rate to righties, 15.7% to lefties, high xFIP to both sides of the plate, fly ball rates up there, and the home run per 9 to righties is up there, over 2 since the beginning of last year, and so far this season 2.52 and over 100 innings of sample size. Do we have righties to bank on for the D-backs? We really don't. Christian Walker's not been that dude. He's not that guy, pal. He's just not that guy. And then the rest of this lineup's rough. So we got two pitchers that we can definitely exploit and isolate their weaknesses, but we don't get the warm and fuzzies in the guys that kind of fit the mold and the criteria of what should thrive against them. So if I really, really, really wanted to pick a bomb against these Jordan Lyles splits, I guess it would be Christian Walker. But man, this guy, it doesn't instill a lot of confidence. So I probably just kind of let that offset. And then, last night we saw runs come from this game. So I might be allowing some cherry picks, right? If Adolis Garcia falls in the pool, cool. Adolis Garcia, Joey Gallo, and Jonah Heim have pretty solid ratings in the bomb detector. But I think that's more so the hard contact and the fly ball rate of the Mad Bum doing more than I wanted to do in this instance. So I might be watching this game and just having a little bit of Mad Bum. A little bit. I don't know, chat. What are you doing with Mad Bum? Should I be on the train? Give me some Bubiks. Like that White Sox stacks are stupid owned. I haven't looked at ownership yet. Kind of scared though. Wasn't he linked to played Gumby? Yeah, just got here. Blah blah blah. All right. Let's move on to the next game. I might let that simmer. Speaking of the White Sox, sounds like they're going to be pretty trendy tonight, and they are facing Bubic, and the Royals lineup has been confirmed. It is Whit Merrifield, Santana, who has been linked to some trade speculation. We talked about the Red Sox needing a left-handed first baseman. I've heard Rizzo. I've heard Santana. So kind of look out for that. Salvi in the 3 spot. Jorge Soler batting cleanup. Good weekend for him. Andrew Benintendi batting 5th. Ryan O'Hearn batting 6th. Dozier, Michael A. Taylor, and Nicky Lopez. That's our Royals lineup. We do not have a White Sox. Did the Rays just make a change? I just got to notice that the Rays lineup has been confirmed, but I thought it was already confirmed. Looks like Brett Phillips might have been thrown in there at the bottom. So I'll recap all that in a little bit. Lucas Giolito on the bump. Chris Bubic on the bump for the Royals. White Sox, a team that I've been stacking for years against lefties. Bubic has definitely trended really, really bad against righties. 18.4% K rate. 2 right-handed hitters this year with a 1.78 home run per 9 allowed. Over a 2 home run per 9 allowed to lefties. The home run per 9 allowed is so weird to me, considering his home park is Kauffman, and considering his advanced metrics aren't really that indicative of a guy that struggles with power, right? If you're giving up a 2+ home run per 9, usually means you got a hard contact rate that's pushing 40, maybe 35 to 40. You got a really elevated fly ball rate. He's a ground ball pitcher, so it's kind of wild that he's getting beat up for homers the way he is, especially to righties, right? 33% hard contact rate, 45% ground ball rate. That's it's peculiar. Nonetheless, he has not been somebody that the Royals can depend on for consistency, and his 5.8 expected ERA with his 1.5 WHIP look like a really solid matchup for the White Sox. Tim Anderson, Jose Abreu, and Eloy Jimenez. Eloy got one last night. Looked like really solid plays pre-flop. Andrew Vaughn could get there as well. And then, of course, this Royals bullpen could offer some league average arms, and the White Sox do well. Somebody mentioned that the White Sox were super, super chalk in chat. I don't have a pulse on the ownerships just yet, but certainly in baseball, if a team gets 2-owned, like 20, 30%, then we start playing the leverage game and seeking out alternatives because of baseball being as variable as it is. So we all know the fundamentals when it comes to that. But pre-flop, I understand why people would be there on the White Sox in this particular matchup. Giolito on the bump for the White Sox, 26.6% K rate to righties and almost a 30% K rate to lefties. This is a lineup that has a really strong lane once you get past Merrifield and Santana of 25-ish% or greater strikeout rates against righties the last 2 years. 27% on Salvi, 28% on Jorge Soler, 27 on Ryan O'Hearn, Dozier 26, and Michael A. Taylor 27.5. So he's 9,800. Think about that in context versus like Madison Bumgarner, who was 92, 95. I don't understand why he's only $300 more than Mad Bum, and that just like makes me easily say I'm going to play Giolito over Madison Bumgarner today, despite any type of struggles he's had recently. I know in his DNA, there's more strikeout stuff to be had. 39 2 games ago against Houston, 25 against Baltimore. Has faced the Royals twice this season, only averaging 13.2 fantasy points per game in those 2 games. But I'm willing to kind of bank on the park, bank on the matchup, and really kind of lean on him to get the win. I think 9,200 on Fanduel is a pretty strong spot too, as a minus 174 favorite. The caveat here is that it's blistering hot in Kansas, right? 94 degrees. It might be the hottest projected temperature on the slate. The pitchers that don't have that stuff in the heat, the humidity and the sweat been a little bit stronger, maybe that falls through. Are we here for some hedge stacks? I think I actually would get to a little bit of like maybe 5% or less just to hedge the probably the decent chunk of Giolito that I'm going to have. I'd probably start at 25 to 30% just as an obscure starting point. So yeah, I think I actually would get to a little bit of a Royals hedge stack just in case the brakes fell off. But pre-flop, the metrics certainly line up better for Giolito here than some of these other 9K pitchers, and there's a lot of implied strikeouts in this lineup as is. So I think he's a strong, we're checking some boxes for the win. We're checking some boxes for strikeout potential. And it is more of a pitcher's park than not, though this temperature could certainly neutralize that. So White Sox stack, I understand it. I'm there. And I'm there on Giolito. Nelson Cruz is out. That was the update. Yo, what up, Justin Sports? Well, that's interesting. That definitely makes that lineup a lot more yuck. We can't sign up for Cortez because I don't think he goes 5 often, but that's interesting, right? There's got to be something wrong when your DH can't swing a bat a couple times. So hopefully Cruz is all right. Yeah, let's move on to the next game. Rockies at the Angels. Boy, the Rockies, they put up some runs last night, right? I don't know if a lot of people noticed that. They were dropping some runs last night. Brought Coors Field with them. Maybe they'll bring Coors Field with them again in the form of Chichi Gonzalez pitching. Neither lineup confirmed yet, but the Angels minus 204 favorites. We got Chichi, Do You Love Me, taking on Andrew Heaney. Heaney in a really solid spot. Will probably be one of my favorite pitchers. Points per dollar. 7,400 seems like a viable and reasonable price point for him against a road Rockies outside of last night, with his 31% K rate to righties in this lineup that might come out super righty heavy. And Trevor Story, another name that any day now, we might see his name linked to a trade. And this game being a West Coast game definitely opens the question marks, right? That it just gives us a little bit more time, air, and opportunity. Last game for Heaney, 7 innings strong against the Twins, 25.6. You see a little bit of a wide range of outcomes here, but there's some tough matchups, right? At New York, Boston, Oakland, and San Francisco, and not necessarily big K spots. I do think this is a spot he could thrive in, and I do think at 7,400, my median expectations probably get me close to 20 DKP, and I think that's a reasonable output in this spot against a road team Rockies. And I don't know that that this projected lineup is going to be what we actually get, considering some of the trade discussions between the Rockies. So give me 7,400 Heaney. Will he be my highest owned pitcher? I don't know, but I think there's a good chance he's one of my highest owned pitchers because of the price point and the implied value here, and being over a 200 favorite. And because of that, I also dig him on Fanduel as well, because we do weight those quality start and win points pretty highly. His weaknesses: Heaney, 181 home run per nine, 2 righties. That would line up pretty well for Trevor Story or CJ Crone. Crone had some coffee in for the Angels, I believe. So maybe he has a fun revenge bomb, but for the most part, those are the only 2 names I'm really fearful of. And against lefties, maybe the K rate's lower than we would like it to be. But Raimel Tapia, Charlie Blackmon, Ryan McMahon, the only lefties in his projected lineup so far. That is definitely subject to change, but McMahon's coming at us with a 32% K rate. And to the Rockies' credit, they will pick up the DH spot, so we can't really write off an extra strikeout there. But I don't think we have to at these price points. I think it's still pretty solid. So give me some Heaney. Now let's talk about Chichi Gonzalez. He's not good. Matter of fact, he's bad. He's horrendous. He's yuck. His road numbers: 2.3 home run per nine outside of Coors Field, a 296 average allowed, a 16.7% K rate. You don't need me to tell you that this is probably a really good spot for Mr. Shohei Ohtani. He's 6,400 on DraftKings, but Slate's big enough where we can find some value, and then at 4,400 on FanDuel, I don't mind that at all. So if he's in that 2 spot, gonna get 5 at bats maybe in this game against Chichi Gonzalez in that below average bullpen, I'm there for it. I also like Jared Walsh on FanDuel. I think 3,100 is far too cheap for the matchup and the spot. Maybe DraftKings, making him closer to 5K makes it a little bit deeper of a decision. But 3,100, I think there's a lot of value at that price point. Upton, sure. I definitely, I would like to buy into some more Angels righties for power. Upton, I guess, would be the front runner for that. We don't really lean on Iglesias or Fletcher for power. Fletcher can hit with power, but that's really not his game. Jack Mayfield has shown a little pop over the last week, but that's inconsistent with the sample size on this whole big league career that we have so far, but at least we know it's in him. So I don't mind picking on Chichi at all. Angels have 5.4 implied run total, so there's a lot of run potential there. And give me some Heaney. We only have 1 game left on the docket. Pause for the cause. If you guys want access to this spreadsheet, it is a perk of having a subscription at rundfs.com. Unlock all of my proprietary spreadsheets, my personal research tools that I'm using to attack every slate that I play: baseball, NFL, basketball, and then also you get access to my player pool. And lately I've been listing not only just my stack exposures, but I've been trying to assign my pitcher caps as well. So if you guys are trying to baby step into MME for baseball, maybe that helps you out. I definitely want a more solid way to kind of present the player pool because of the approach that I have for baseball when it is me. It's really just not the same as NFL and basketball, right? You can never have a safe hitter, but I think most of you guys that are here understand that, right? If you're watching a baseball stream at the crack of August, you're a grinder. You understand. Also, before we get to this main event, if you haven't signed up for PrizePicks, I don't know where you've been because everyone's touting PrizePicks, but they are a generous sponsor of mine. And if you want to show some love to me without having to open up your wallet to YouTube or RunDFS.com, just sign up for PrizePicks. Use code GUNDACKER when you do. They're gonna match your first deposit up to $100, so $20 becomes $40, and so on and so forth. And you guys can start making some cards. And I really think this is an incredible way to reward the research you're already doing, diversify your daily DFS spend, and it's you versus the house, right? You can work together. It's not you versus me, and so on and so forth. We have identified a couple of spots that we were curious with. And for instance, I don't know. We got Titi Gonzalez at 3.5 strikeouts. That's a fun one, right? I think a lot of people shy away from the unders on some of these 3.5, 4s, but I've been attacking some of those lately, and they've been hitting. I've been playing that Rays opener. I might get to that Chi under 3, but I also like attacking like the hitter fantasy points. So like if I like a guy for a homer, I don't necessarily need to bet on anything like total base or nothing like that. I can just bet on his fantasy points. So if I think he can homer, or the team's in a good spot to get runs, blah, 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 blah. If they're projected at 6-7 fantasy points, I think I'm going to clear that. So I do like playing with that. So if you guys want to tail some picks as we get closer to lock, maybe we identify some stronger ones. Aaron Judge, number 1 on the bomb detector, 6.5 fantasy points is his projection. Like, I'm willing to kind of bet the over on that, right? Anyway, main event tonight, Dodgers at the Giants. Walker Buehler taking on Anthony DeSclafani. Buehler 10.5K on DraftKings. DeSclafani 8.8K. This has been a crazy NL West. Dodgers, Giants, and Padres putting on a real show. It's really been one of the brighter points of baseball. Buehler's 10.5K. He's got a 27% K rate to righties, 26% to lefties. You want to play Buehler, play Buehler. I'm not going to push back on that. And then Anthony DeSclafani, his xFIP to righties, definitely a little bit elevated, more so than you would want. But we've certainly seen some pitchers have okay performances against the Dodgers as of late, because this Dodgers lineup is not your atypical Dodgers lineup that you anticipated coming into the season. Mookie Betts being down, Corey Seager being down, it does get a little bit different. I think DeSclafani at 8.8K on DraftKings, like I can easily write him off as somebody I don't need to get to. But if you wanted to diversify just a little bit and think, hey, I could take that late 18 to 22 DKP, it's not an unrealistic outcome. Dodgers, kind of like the Yankees, right? They have this perception that you don't want to pitch against them, but right now I think you can. Last game against the Dodgers, 7 strikeouts for DeSclafani, dropped 17. Right, 17 is not really a world shaker, but really just positive points from your pitcher spot, and you can diversify that. Even if you have a couple pitchers projected, plus minus 4 DKP in the same area, you can still get there. Heck, last night a -2 from the pitcher spot won tournament, so it's a safe way to kind of spread out just a little bit. But it's not something I would be extremely heavy on, but it's not something I'm running from. And I do think pitching against the Dodgers right now is something that a lot of people are still very hesitant of. And, the park's fine, the matchup's fine, the weather's fine. One of the cooler games temperature-wise on the slate. And the same with Walker Buehler. Maybe the strikeout upside isn't as prevalent in this projected Giants lineup as you would want for 10.5K on DraftKings, especially 11.5K on Fanduel. But it's still there's still a wide range of outcomes and a lane for him to be a top 2 scoring pitcher on the slate, so I wouldn't write him off. He just dropped nearly 30 fantasy points against the Giants and has had 28 or more DKP in 4 of his last 5. So you definitely see the upside. With that said, outside of this Giants game, maybe we put a little context to the strength of schedule at Colorado, Arizona, Miami. But there's 2 Giants games as the loaves of bread, the slices of bread around this mediocre sandwich, where he's averaging 29 DKP in those 2 spots against the Giants, and then 4 games this season, 24. So no reason to not, I'm going to say be bullish, but not, you could be liberal with your exposure to Walker Buehler. Just, you don't necessarily need to get way more than 30%. So if 30% is kind of the safe spot for me, which on top of my head is probably where I'm going to be at, that's fine. And then a little bit of Desclafani, and I don't mind a little bit of overlap between the two, and maybe we throw a blanket over the Dubski, right? Let's get caught up on chat and see what you guys got before we matriculate on to the next one. What up, Chris? Glad to see you at home. No, Osmo. I love Osmo. What? I like Mad Bum. He's very low owned. I just found out the Giants weren't on this slate. You just found, like, the Giants weren't on this slate? What do you mean? Is this game not on the... Oh, or you just found maybe they were on the slate? Okay. Oh, well, they gotta be all there. Yeah, we don't hate. We love everybody. Love some Just Night. Yes, sir. Judge owes me money from yesterday. We collect it as long as he's in the lineup. Like Disco, God, I missed your thoughts on the Baltimore stack. Did you like them? All right, we'll actually revisit that because we do have some lineups that came out. We got plenty of time. So Baltimore and Miami was a very kind of fence walking analysis spot for me. Miami traded away their best player, Starling Marte, earlier today. And this just becomes, a AAA lineup at best. We got one guy in this projected lineup, Adam Duvall, who's also been in trade talks with an ISO over 200. So, they're not good. With that said, Jorge Lopez has been pretty bad. So it's just I can see a lot of things, a lot of ranges of outcomes between what actually happens versus what will happen. And then on the Orioles side, Jordan Holloway's been okay, but we don't have a deep sample size to believe he's going to hold a 0 home run per 9. And I especially don't think his fly ball line drive rate with over a 30% heart, I don't think he's going to be a 0.6 home run per 9 guy to lefties either, and his xFIP is kind of high to both sides. So I don't mind getting to some Orioles, but do we love Drake and Blake, or do we just love Blake and Drake, right? It's not a warm and fuzzy spot. With that said, we did get a confirmed Orioles lineup: Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes, Trey Mancini, Mountcastle, Stewart, Mariah Severino, Pedro Severino batting 7th, Michael Franco batting 8th, Domingo Leyba batting 9th. So not much has changed. It's if you want to stack the ballpark, that's fine. It makes sense, but it's just it's so meh. I could just see it being so average. I could see one pitcher doing better than we'd like to, right? That Marlins lineup is very bad. I really think I could, if you gave me an hour, I could probably go find 2 or 3 AAA teams that might take them 12 rounds. Maybe the Rail Riders could do something. Matt Bum used to play for the Giants. Gonna miss your... Okay, yeah. Let's move on to the next game. I just want to get caught up on lineups here. So we did get the Rays to adjust their lineup. The Brewers was already confirmed. The Pirates lineup is Ben Gamel batting leadoff. Former Yankee great Ben Gamel at that. You address him with respect. John Nogowski 5th. Jacob Stallings batting 6th. Rodolfo Castro. What a name. And then Kevin Newman went from projected high leadoff, right, to batting 8. So that's our second leadoff, bro. Keep it going. Any other confirmed lineups? The Yankees lineup still not out yet. Remember, I did say that we've seen the Yankees really be careful with guys the second day after they come back. So I wouldn't be stunned if Judge is in the lineup. I would just be severely disappointed because we need to win. Margot Franco, Austin Meadows is now batting 3rd. Nelson Cruz was scratched. 5 spot, Brandon Lau, Rosarena, Joey Wendell, Mejia, and Brett Phillips. So I really got no high hopes for the Rays. Before Nelson Cruz came to the team, Rays were one of the worst teams against lefties, and Cruz could at least give you a little bit more of a menacing bat there. Cortez, again, I'm probably expecting 3-4 innings out of him, but they could also turn it over to Lucas Licky, another lefty. I guess technically you might still get some Britton and Chapman, so it might be a long day for lefties. But I do think we'll see some Sal Romano and potentially some Jonathan Loaizaga in the middle of it all. So, yeah, Mets lineup: Brandon Nimmo batting leadoff, Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, J.D. Davis batting cleanup for him, James McCann. So no Dominic Smith. That's intriguing because Max Fried has had a little bit of a power leak to lefties, and Dominic Smith is actually one of the rare lefties with a little bit of sample size that holds his own against lefties. And then Kevin Pillar batting 8 spots. So I actually kind of like Fried. I don't know. There's still a lot of strikeouts here. 26, 27%, 25, 26, 26%, and a pitcher spot. There's plenty of strikeout potential for Fried here. Any other confirmed lineups we need to get caught up on? The Reds lineup came out. I think we already had that. The D-backs and the Rangers. Rangers lineup did come out. Gallo's in it, so hasn't been moved yet. Eli White is batting second. Garcia, Gallo, Andy Ibanez batting 5th. Nate Lowe batting 6th. Curtis Terry. We don't trust people with 2 first names. Charlie Culberson batting 8th, and then Jose Trevino. So this lineup is a little bit different. I will say Charlie Culberson probably going to be a fun name for the bomb detector, but I don't know if we bank on more than 2 at bats. Really more than 1.5 implied at bat, but he is a lefty masher, slugging over a 900 OPS against lefties last 2 years, ISO over 200. It's gonna have an over 4 rating in the bomb detector, so it might be a fun bottom of the barrel 2K min price guy to get into one off of Mad Bum. I really wish he was batting a little bit higher in this lineup. I would really like him as a 2K special, so maybe add that name to your bucket of cheapies. Maybe that'll allow you to get to like an Ohtani or something like that. No other confirmed lineups. All right, chat. Any lasting questions, comments, concerns? We got plenty of time to wine and dine, sip on some coffee. Or if you guys have any sharp hot takes or you want me to revisit something, throw it at me. I don't mind it. If you are getting out of here, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up before you do. Maybe double check, see you're subscribed. We do have a lot of content coming at you. We've been live every day at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central on this channel. And then also football right around the corner. We're going to have a little bit of football content. And then we might just take over the 3 p.m. spot every day and just put out some live content no matter what, right? Fried K-prop is 6. Yeah, it is. 6 is kind of like on the nose. If you guys haven't been tracking the updates I've made to the RunDFS.com MLB VIP spreadsheet, I've actually added a strikeout prediction algorithm, and I leave it to where you guys can kind of play with it and give your own pitch count. So I guess a great way to kind of exercise it would be to look at the Fried strikeout prop. So if we go to that Mets game, and this model is reactive to the projected and then the confirmed lineup. So a lot of these numbers are set in the morning before confirmed lineups come out. But Max Fried, a way to use this is I would be looking at his last couple games and kind of gauge a pitch count or what I might project him at least conservatively. 100, 96, 92, 91. So it's safe for me to give him 90 pitches here. 100's a maybe, but if I give Max Fried 90 pitches, I can go to this K Factory link, click on it, and then on the far right here, if I put the number 90, I get a return of 7.01 strikeouts. So his strikeout prop is 6. There's a world where 7 is definitely there for him, and if we get to 100, I get to almost 8. So maybe I'm a little bit more skittish to take that bet than I should be. But there's certainly strikeouts to be had in this now confirmed Mets lineup. But it's not something I'm super excited about. Just kind of one of those things where I wish there was more lefties in this lineup, but 3 and a pitcher is enough to maybe get me at that projection of 1 per inning, and then maybe one of those innings he sneaks into 2, right? You deserve more subs, man. I appreciate that. Quick question, thoughts on Lyles versus Arizona? So that game actually feels a lot like the Baltimore and Miami game, where it just seems like 2 not great teams against 2 not great pitchers. But the price point on Lyles, and like I said, Mad Bum at 64 on Fanduel, like if I had to fill out 150 lineups, that might not be a 0%er to me, and that would easily unlock the keys to the Ohtani Genie. But Jordan Lyles, he's almost a pure contact guy. I guess 10.3% swinging strike rate. maybe there's a little bit more strikeout potential, but he's just not good. But at the same time, his weaknesses, I can't really take advantage of with anything in particular in this D-backs lineup. His biggest weakness is power to righties, and they've got one righty with power, and that's Christian Walker, and he's like below average at best. And then past that, it's like Nick Ahmed and Brian Holiday at catcher. And then against lefties, he's not great against lefties by any stretch of the imagination, but again, we're not super excited to play some of these D-backs lefties. I guess you could sell me on Cole Calhoun and some Eduardo Escobar. If the question is would I play Jordan Lyles, I think the answer is no, at least not in a controlled amount of lineups, meaning 10, 20. If I had to super diversify into 150, do I think 6K on DraftKings could be a surprise, 10 to 15, right? I think in that regard, yes, he could land there if he can not get blown up. But for the most part, in limited lineups, no, probably not on Jordan Lyles. I might play Nestor at 6K. I might play like Nestor Cortez over that. I don't think Nestor Cortez will be on the hook for a win or a loss necessarily, but I do think he can get there on some strikeouts and get me to like 15 off of strikeouts alone, right? D-backs are going to be a bit owned. You think so? I mean, I'm sure I haven't looked at ownership projections yet. But I mean, that's a hard team to invest in. I guess they did all right last night. You want to play with the bomb detector here? Kind of see if there's any obscure names up here that maybe we weren't expecting. Let's reset the confirmed lineups. Let's sort Z to A. Aaron Judge still going to be at the very top here. A lot of Yankees at the top. Rougned Odor also up there. Gary Sanchez up there. Again, like I said, that's kind of a pitch report tongue-in-cheek spot because the Yankees, other than the fastball, they don't profile well against the cutter or their changeup for Michael Wacha. So I do have some tapered expectations. And then Andy Ibanez and Adolis Garcia are at the top of the bomb detector. Garcia makes a lot of sense. And then Patrick Wisdom, all he does is a homer and strikeout. There's like a stat that projects the three true ranges of outcomes for hitters. For Patrick Wisdom, there's two true ranges of outcomes: home run or strikeout. Last night we saw him homer again. Stassi's up here. A couple weird names. Max Stassi being up there is fun. Everyone else is just kind of expected, right? We like Hunter Renfroe against the lefty. Charlie Culberson did have that 4+ rating. There's no surprising names up here. Yeah, no one weird snuck in there. Maybe Andy Ibanez is a little weird, but it kind of makes sense. Let me see what the sample size is on Ibanez. Ibanez, by the way, batting 5th. Got 389 average, just a 111 ISO, but a 921 OPS. Where'd they do that at? Let me see why that is. That seems like a weird correlation. Ibanez being that high. So if I ever want to like cross-reference the bomb detector, some of the secret sauces of the algorithm is fly ball rates, line drive rates, hard contact rates, and pull rates. So I just want to see what the sample size is on Ibanez versus lefties, because I don't think Mad Bum's weighting it that heavily for him to be popping like he is. So away or just against lefties, we've got 921 OPS, but just a 111 ISO, a 438 BABIP. That's surely sustainable. 157 WRC plus. What is the at bats here? It's just 18 or 36 at bats, so not a ton of at bats. Let me pull out the DNA of these at bats. Against lefties, we've got a 34% fly ball rate, 30+% line drive rate, a 0% home run to fly ball rate, 44% pull rate. We do like that, and a 44% hard contact rate. So some of the underlying metrics are on his side. Do we have some minor league stuff that showed that he was decent against lefties? Because maybe there's some room for improvement. Calhoun's a 17%er. Cabrera's 7%. The rest under 4. Okay, so Cole Calhoun's going to be... I get it. He's leading off against a bad contact pitcher. I definitely wouldn't be anti that, but that's a lot of stake in Cole Calhoun. In the minors, Ibanez was batting .471 against lefties. Wasn't really... he was slugging .882 with a 1.396 OPS, so it looks like the bomb detector knows more than I do. 3 homers and 34 at-bats. Sign me up. I'm in. That's it, man. That is it, man. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me as always. I will be in the RunDFS.com VIP voice chat in about 30 minutes. If you guys want to hang out with me, go get yourself a week pass. RunDFS.com. I forget what it is right now. I think it's like 20, 25 bucks. Get in there for a week. Get access to the spreadsheet every day. Get my player pool. Chop it up in the Discord. We'd love to have you. We also have some NFL season-long leagues going on. I did fill up a 150 10-man, $150 entry 10-man, but I'm willing to commission up some new ones. So if you guys want to play along, either at a lower buy-in or the same, just to get involved, we'll have that up. Just hit me up in the Discord. I'll be there. Twitter.com/Gundacker, man. That's it. That's where you guys can get at me. I do appreciate you guys joining me, and I think this little 3 p.m. slot, man, I think it's our little spot to be. So we'll try again tomorrow. Before I fully commit to that, let me check out tomorrow's schedule. But I think we're good. I think it's going to be a lot of night games during the week now with school on the horizon. Tomorrow, as I say that, a bunch of early games tomorrow, but there's a 5-game main slate tomorrow. I don't know. What do you guys think? That's kind of a tough spot, but I can get behind a 5-game main slate. And maybe, just maybe, I'll put up like a pre-record for the early slate. We'll see. There's gonna be a lot of movement going on soon, and then Friday's another big one. Friday being the trade deadline. That's gonna be a fun day. So yeah, I guess that'll do it, man. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I'll see you guys on the flip side. As always, good luck. God bless. Go win some money.